is on. Countdown is going.
Imperfect action. I'm very excited to talk
Imperfect
about
action. That's right. It's all about imperfect action. That's the best action.
Just do the thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited. We can give people permission. That's what we can do the entire time. I give you permission to go do stuff. Anybody listening, go do it. Go do it now. Okay, not now. Absolutely. After the episode.
Afterwards. Wait till we're done and go get her done. As that great American philosopher once said, get her done.
Yes.
Happy Wednesday. My goodness, it's time for another Imperfect Action live stream. That's what you're watching, the Imperfect Action live stream. Who am I? Why, I'm Rob Fenstermaker, a former corporate burnout survivor turned kingdom builder, your kingdom builder. Yes, I've been through a few corporate downsizings, and you know what? After a while, you realize corporate's not your friend. I decided to embark upon a different journey. Hey, let's get a couple things out of the way. This Friday, if you've never been there, the virtual Friday whiskey hour happens this Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Stop on by and enjoy the conversation. Bring your favorite beverage. If you want to drink some whiskey, fantastic. Want some beer? Great. Bring whatever you like. Next Tuesday, I host the Iron Sharpens Iron community at 11 o'clock. But I have been looking forward to this call. Cara Jean. Better buckle up for this one, people. I'm going to tell you right now. So Cara Jean, she's the CEO of the Cara Method and executive coach at Taking Care of Business. Cara, thank you for stopping by the Imperfect Action live stream. How are you doing?
I'm excellent, Rob. Thank you so much for having me on here. I am delighted to talk about imperfect action. It's one of my favorite things.
Yes, I like what you put in here. April showers bring May flowers. Yes. What do we need more of in April? That's an interesting question. What do we need more of in April?
Action.
April is it. April does bring a lot of opportunity, and my wife and I, we moved down to Florida just a little bit over 25 months ago, and we moved from Ohio. And this time in Ohio is always a weird time of the year because you could have one day where it could be 70 degrees, and then you could have another day where you get 2 feet of snow. You never knew. You never knew what was coming. Just like life. You never know what's coming in life.
And I love using April as a great way. April showers, May flowers. Talk about action, right? So the rain happens, and all of this churning of the soils, planting of the seeds, all of this action is happening, but you don't get the flowers till May.
Right. Is it?
And it's hard. I mean, I guess I should speak for myself and my clients. What we discover, one of the hardest things about that action is you do it, but it doesn't always pay immediately. And boy, do we live in a instant gratification world.
We live in a microwave society. Society where we want stuff done right now. Right now.
Right. And me, I'm a bit of a
foodie. I'm a bit of a foodie. My wife and I, we're real foodies. And one of my favorite dishes, and if you've ever had it, is ossobuco. It's one of my favorite Italian dishes. And you don't make ossobuco in a microwave. It probably takes a good 8 hours to make a delicious ossobuco. And that's just kind of like life. Sometimes you got to let it marinate and just kind of play it out and see what's going to happen, where we're going to go with this.
Cast the net, see what pays. Do it again. Do it again. Do it. Right. And somewhere, maybe this is my BS, my belief system, but somewhere around time 10 to 100, somewhere in there, you're like, oh, now I'm seeing that. I'm like seeing it happen. I'm getting it. Like my brain starts to see the pattern, starts to see how long it takes between things. Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that you need to be good at it the first time, though.
That the 10 between 100, but there's so much innocent in those single digit years. I mean, you have you told me he's 3 going to be soon 4. How'd you just say it? I'm 3 going to be 4?
Almost 4. Yep.
Almost 4.
Not yet. He says not yet 4.
Not yet. What's his name?
Yeah. Liam.
Oh, I love that name. That's a cool name. I love that name. And Liam and I we're kind of kindred spirits. Our birthdays are only 24 hours apart.
How cool is that? Birthday
That is
twin.
cool.
Yeah.
We're almost birthday twins. We're almost birthday twins. Yes, that is cool. So Cara, I know you're a leadership coach, and I love talking leadership. And leadership is one of those things that it can be hard to define, but we know it when we see it. We know leadership when we see it.
Yeah.
And there's no one set way to be a leader.
No. I would say there's 3 big pillars, though. And this is, again, so my BS, take this or leave it, friends, but this is what has worked for me. So there is the visionary portion of leadership. There's that authentic portion of leadership, and then the inclusive part of being in leadership.
Yeah.
And it's all 3 that go together to make a really strong leadership table. And boy, do you notice when one of those legs is missing, don't you?
Yeah. So tell me again, visionary, what was the second one?
Authentic.
Yeah.
And then inclusive.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, you got to cast, I mean, an effective leader casts that vision and it takes people on that journey with them. And, one of the struggles I had in corporate, because I was an Army officer. So you go through Army officer training and, leadership is pounded into your head. So you got a really good idea of what leadership is and how to be an effective leader. And one of the struggles I always saw in corporate was there were those people they would define as leaders were actually just managers. They were just managing a process. I nothing against management. We need management. We need managers, but don't tell me a manager is a leader because they're not. They're just a manager.
Different. Yeah. I like, so SMART goals. I'm certain that you work with SMART goals with your people, right? Like specific, measurable, action. Right.
Yep.
That is that is what you want anyone at an operations level to be thinking about for action. If it's not SMART, if it's not measurable, if it's not actionable, realistic, or timely, it really is probably not great. But what you want is leadership who are dumb, who can dream, uplift, define the metrics, and then monitor the behaviors.
Yeah. Dumb leaders. We need dumb leaders.
We need dumb leaders.
We have some dumb leaders, but we actually need real dumb leaders.
Yeah, like the good kind of dumb.
The good kind of dumb. Yes, not the
Yeah. But really, that is, to me, that defines the difference. Is can you dream and uplift and then bring people with it?
I love that. Dumb leaders. I do love that.
Isn't that good?
Now, I know that one thing you love to talk about, and hustle culture. Hustle culture kills. I agree. I hate the term hustle culture.
Yeah.
There's just something about it that just rubs me the wrong way.
I mean, you said it yourself. You've already survived the corporate burnout. That is hustle cult in action, right? And not that I like hustling. Let me clarify. I'm a fan of a hustle. Like, if you want to hustle for your health, you want to hustle for your happiness, hustle it, baby. Do it. Put that energy in. Put that action in. But the moment you feel you have to kill yourself to succeed, the moment you believe that success comes with all of this weight and cost and hardship, now you're falling into that hustle cult, and that's how you burn out and cannot do.
Yeah.
It's not good for anyone.
Yeah, that was one of the problems I always saw in my experience in corporate was you gotta be chasing success. You got to be. I mean, if you want to move up, you better be chasing something. You better be chasing something, or else you're going to be eating somebody's dust.
And look like you're chasing it. Here's the part that drove me nuts in corporate America, from both a leadership point of view as well as a training point of view. Too often, the people who look like they're so busy, they're so active, they're trying so hard, are not necessarily productive. They're busy. Oh, very busy.
Busy.
They are hustling.
Yes. They're busy. Are they busy or are they productive? Yeah, I can be busy all day. I can make myself busy, but am I actually being productive? It's a big difference.
Huge.
Big difference. Yeah.
And that's the difference between that hustle cult versus a culture that cares. One that really is looking for that productive movement from their team versus just looking like they're busy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like it's like a badge of honor that I would see people
Yeah.
you know, you go up to ask them, hey, can I have 10 minutes? Oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. And it was like a badge of honor. Oh, I'm so busy.
Yeah.
Look at my calendar here. And it's just a bunch of garbage. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And you see it with entrepreneurs. As you
Yeah.
jump into your business, and because of the good hustle, you're so excited about what you're finally doing, the things you love. You get to talk
Yeah.
about the stuff you enjoy. Oh, you're so ready for this activity, for this action. But you're just filling your life up full of things to do because you like them
Yeah.
rather than what might actually get you ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one of the things I learned this several years ago, and I still periodically do it. Is I was just over involved in stuff, and my wife is guilty of this. She gets over involved, and when she does that, she's like, "Argh." And it puts a strain on our relationship
Yeah.
when she gets that way. And so I did an inventory of my life, and I looked at things like, wait a minute, is this still serving me now? And there were some good things I actually took out because they weren't really serving me. And I just like you know I've done all I can do with this. It's time to just move on from this. And some people think, well, I have to continue to do this. I have to continue to do this.
Have to.
And yeah, I have to. This is who I am. Well, no, it's not who you are. Who you are is unique, and that uniqueness of who you are empowers you to take that next step. And when you're just overloading yourself with a bunch of just minutia, you're missing that uniqueness.
Yeah. Yes. It, speaking of imperfect action, one of the things that I call one of the most CEO boss moves that you can make, whether you actually are the CEO or if you're the CEO of your life, all the way across the board. The greatest thing you can do is decide what you're not going to do. Like on purpose,
Yes.
don't do it. And not because it's bad. Like we were saying, it's good stuff. It just doesn't serve you now. That's okay.
Right. It may have served you 5 years ago, but doesn't mean you have to continue to do it. I mean, because I believe for everything, anything you do, any relationship you have, there's a reason. They fall into one of three categories: a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you have to assess: is this just for a season? Is there a reason I'm doing this, or is this a lifetime thing I'm going to do? And if it's just for a season, has that season passed? If it's for a reason, is this reason over? And you have to have those honest conversations with yourself. And I know sometimes it can be hard to set those things aside because, you know, we've always done this, or maybe you feel you're letting someone down, or maybe you're going to disappoint someone. But I have found that for very rarely does it happen when I'm making those choices that somebody's disappointed. And if they are disappointed, it's because they're selfish and they're making it about them.
Yes, it is.
They're living in scarcity and not living in abundance.
Yes. Yeah. Do you have a standard of assessment for that? Like, how do you decide whether it is absolutely worth keeping?
You know, I love to journal a lot. And so I will really just pause and really reflect on things that I'm doing. And I'll go back and look at some of the stuff I've written recently. And if I'm writing things that are just like, you know, that I'm getting a little frustrated, then maybe I have to really assess, is this really worth doing? Am I getting what I was originally getting out of this? Because the act of journaling, you start to see, you start to see things. You start to pick up on those things that maybe you aren't necessarily picking up in the moment. When you go back and look over some of the thoughts that you've had, you'll start to see it.
Like, oh, yeah, yes. I love that for finding the reasons. I have I have a standard of, so that's either urgent or important, in which case then it's got to get done.
Right.
Yeah. But if it's not one of those two things and no one's going to die and nothing is going to explode, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go. Chuck it in the bucket. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah. The world's not going to end. You know what? You're like, the world's not going to end. If
Yeah.
you didn't do whatever on Tuesday afternoon, the world is not going to end.
Yeah. And if it does, well, then it's in the urgent and important category. So take care of that.
And that was urgent and important. And maybe you're like, wait a minute here.
Yes.
So I had a chance to take a look at your website, and I kind of want to go around. So, and you have some interesting things there, and I really enjoyed kind of exploring some of these. So, understanding self when you're working with a client or clients to help them understand their self, kind of walk me through this process.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'll give you the whole thing. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Sure. One of the things. So I'm neurospicy. I fall into a neurodivergent categories. So I collect the whole spice rack. That's kind of my go-to thing. As I learned about it, as I started to dive into what does that actually mean for me and my own personal leadership, I got some really good baseline understandings about humanity as a whole. So for example, did you know that you have an entire corporation inside your brain?
I did not. Now I do.
Right. So everything goes in through your brainstem, right? Everything that hits your brain has to come in from there. That's your operations. Operations is not dissimilar to being a toddler. You either know what you do and you go do it, like any toddler or anybody in operations does. You have your SOPs, you go do it, or you don't know. And you kind of throw a tantrum and pass the buck up. Well, then it goes. Sound familiar? So then it goes to your amygdala. Amygdala is like your management team, right? They're the ones who are orchestrating, cataloging, collecting, and it's also kind of like a teenager who absolutely knows everything, right? Like all the teenagers we know, and so many of the managers we know.
Yeah. Wait till that almost 4-year-old turns into a teenager.
I'm not ready. But so you have a management team, right? And your amygdala creates all your thoughts, feelings, emotions, collects all of those. Also, not unlike a teenager or a manager who's overwhelmed, will sometimes make connections that aren't actually connections, and then you're having a meltdown. And we pass the buck further up in that situation, right? To your leadership team. That's your frontal cortex. That's your most adulty adult inside your brain. So if we all know that that's how the human brain works, but we also know that when you have a team like operations, management, and leadership, each individual experience, each individual thing that happens, thing that doesn't happen, how irritating is that when you're in operations and things aren't happening, right? Whatever those are, create new pathways, create changes, which means that causes our management team to interact with the world in a different, diverse kind of way. Mm-hmm. And if you can start with this baseline that everything that you do, everything you experience, everything you don't is going to impact how you experience life, you can have a little more grace for yourself as you adapt that, which means then you can have grace for others. So the real work always starts with me first and understanding me and how I do things. You were talking about my toddler. One of the hardest parts of being a parent, the hardest part of being a parent is exactly the same as the hardest part of being a corporate leader, is handling this hot mess before you touch that hot mess. Otherwise, your BS is like lighter fluid on the train wreck avalanche.
I have adult children, and I know when my children, they're very attentive. They see things. Trust me, they see things. They watch mom and dad very closely, and they take their cues from mom and dad. So be careful if you're a parent, what cues you're sending out to that child.
Same warning to you if you're the CEO.
Yes.
Whether it's your own business or the big business.
So let me ask you this question. I know I love the talk of leadership. And there's so many aspects of leadership, but what would you say is the one non-negotiable characteristic of leadership?
Transparent communication.
You violate this one, it's game over.
Ooh, and trust. In that case, it's trust.
Yeah. Okay.
The fastest way to build trust, retain trust, or repair trust is the exact same thing. To make and keep commitments. It is that simple. Like, that's the job. It is that simple. Make commitments, keep them. Make commitments, keep them. Just like that. So simple. Simple's not
Yeah.
easy though, because then you have to have the transparency to communicate when you might need to change a commitment, when you fell off of a commitment and didn't manage it, so you have to make a new commitment. That's the work, right? Like that's the
work.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, and be holistic, and you can be. I mean, we're holistic beings, body, mind, and spirit. Lead in a holistic way. Don't compartmentalize your life. That you're one thing at work, and you're a different person at home, and you're a different person when you're out and about. Be that same person, because that's how you get caught. I mean, that's how you fail, because you go out and you have a few cocktails with your buddies, and
suddenly you're the
have some of your
woo.
well, yeah, and some of your employees are there, and they don't, and you're saying things or doing things that are anti of who you really are. What you can
Or
spend
who you
years
told them
trying to
you are.
create and build can be gone in an instant. Can be gone in an instant. That's it. Yeah, that's cool.
Make and keep commitments.
Understand others. What, there are days I just give up. Especially, what, you got a 3 soon to be 4-year-old. Like I said, I have adult children. There were those days I just gave up trying to understand what was going on.
Yep, you're like,
I would just throw up my hands. I'm like, all right, I give up. I give up.
Yeah. Well, and that, I would even say that that's a powerful tool to say, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Boy, if you can get comfortable saying that to another human being and then follow with, but I want to.
Yeah.
You can change trajectories for entire countries by showing up at a table and saying, I don't understand, but I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I'd always preface it when I was in a leadership position in the Army and in corporate. Help me to help you so I can understand what exactly it is we're talking about here. Just help me.
Yes.
And I give them the opportunity.
Yes.
Just explain it to me. I'm not getting it right now.
Yeah. Come with
curiosity. I wouldn't say in a harsh word. I was curious. I wanted to know. I wanted to help them but I needed some information so I could help them.
I say the most important part of understanding others is having tools and not being a tool. Yeah.
Not being a tool. That takes me back to my college days. Everybody
use a tool, don't be a tool. Again, simple, right? The job's pretty simple. The work is the hard part, where you have to actually do that. You have to go find tools. You have to go learn about discs so that you understand personality types and communication styles. You have to understand your communication styles. So when somebody else, because I don't know if you caught on to this or not, Rob, but I'm kind of a fast talker, kind of animated. And that's really hard for some people. They do not process words as quickly as in my personal decision, I like to talk like this at all the times. This is the level that I speak at when I'm talking to myself. Yeah. And when I do that for some folks, they're like instant anxiety, because they need it to slow down. They need the time process. They need the to allow the information to sink in. If I didn't know that I was a fast talker and somebody was like, you need to slow down, I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Why do I need to slow down? You need to speed up. How come this is a problem? But if I know that about me, I can choose to change.
Right. You got to understand the audience. When you said that, it reminded me several years back, I went down to South America. I spent some time in Colombia, and I could speak some Spanish, enough Spanish to maybe get me in trouble, but just enough. I could, and so when I would be around these native Spanish speakers, and I'm like, whoa, no es rápidamente para mí, por favor. Slow it down a little
despacio, por favor. Yeah.
So you got to know the audience of who you're speaking to, and because when you're a leader, you can speak, let's talk about, in the C-suite, you can say one thing to people in the C-suite. I mean, you can be direct. If you're the CEO, you can be direct to your CMO and CFO and, hey, pull your head out of your ass. This needs to get done. But you're talking to people maybe 2 levels down. You want to do it in a way that encourages them to maybe, but, you also want to be direct, but there's a different way you want to speak.
Yeah.
to
It's
the
that
audience.
smart versus dumb, right? So with the
Yeah,
other C-suite, you want to be really smart because you're all operating at the same space. So you want to
right.
make sure it's direct, it's measurable, it's actionable, it's timely. But as soon as
Hmm.
you're talking to someone on a different, not even level, but in a different space, that's when you want to dumb it down. That's where you want
Yeah,
to, here's the concept we're trying to get to. This is the result that we want to achieve. How
yeah,
can you participate in getting us to this place?
yeah.
And then you have to listen and do it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that
And
trust
some
thing,
of the,
right?
I can think of some of the organizations I've been involved in, and the ones that I thought were effective with their leadership, they had minimal layers,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
four, maybe five layers at the most. The ones that were just a nightmare, they had multiple layers, and so it just took
Piles of red
forever and
tape and
forever
bureaucracy.
stuff to come down and go back up, and it was a nightmare. It was just a
Yeah,
nightmare
yeah,
because things didn't happen quickly. When the people on the front lines, those are the people leaders need to listen to, the people that are on the front lines, because they know what's going on. They're the ones that have to deal with the decisions and the policies that come down from on high. And the people on high, they got to be willing to listen to those people on the front line to see how this is impacting them, how it's
yeah.
impacting their customers, how it's impacting, whatever it is we're trying to get done, whatever our mission is.
The actions of if you want your operations to run better, ask your operators what they need and what you,
Yeah.
it's so simple. I know this is so simple, and we've all heard this 4,000 times. And this is where, your genius comes in, Rob, is it's
Yeah.
super simple to say, but you have to do. You have to take that
You
action,
do.
and
You
and
have
mess.
to.
Do it messy. Do it
Yeah.
half. Do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. There's a famous marketing campaign that just said that. And the
Yeah.
guy behind that, well, not the guy behind that, one of the main personalities with that, Michael Jordan, we
Yeah.
all know the story. He was cut from his high school basketball team. What if he just said, oh, the hell?
That coach
No,
is
I'm
like,
not gonna, yeah, the hell of it. I'm not going to do this anymore. Well, we never would have heard of Michael Jordan. There never would have been the GOAT.
out in that world. Weird.
So,
Yeah.
and you just got to try. I mean, failure is part of success.
Hmm.
It's part of
Period.
success. Yeah, it's part of success. It's as simple as that.
I
You got to
I have
fail.
a
You got to fail a few times. But if you fail forward. And what I mean by that, learn your mistakes and try again. Just keep trying. Just keep trying.
Spanish. We were talking about how you were speaking Spanish. So I have FE in Spanish means faith. Fe
Mhm.
on the periodic table means iron. And I do
Mhm.
what I call the failure expert training. It's a 1-year
Yeah.
course. And if you have the faith to be a failure expert, you will become as strong as iron.
Yeah. Speaking of iron, next Tuesday at 11 o'clock is my Iron Sharpens Iron community. We'll have just an online
Look at that brilliant
conversation where we
segue.
will talk about a topic that's important to us, important to how we hold each other accountable and how we live our lives and how we become those leaders we want to be. Because you know what? The reality is we're all leaders in some way. We got to understand how to lead ourselves first. We have to. And that's where leadership is at. And it's the analogy, or not the analogy. It's a statement that um, if you wouldn't do this in front of the people you're leading, why would you do it in private?
Yep. Yeah.
It comes back to that holistic leadership, of being that holistic person with everything, a body, mind, and spirit, because we are holistic beings.
And it's that sharpening the iron, getting
Yeah.
comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes. 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 Too many people just want to go through life comfortable. And that's no way to go through life. I mean, you just want to be comfortable, then you start embracing realism and you start being realistic. And being realistic, all that leads to you is sitting on the couch, binge watching Netflix with a Costco sized bag of potato chips every night.
And let's talk about the fact that you're not actually even comfortable doing it. Like you headed
Yeah.
towards comfort, but you're not even that comfortable. It's just familiar.
You're not.
It's not comfortable.
You've gotten comfortable in your slop, the slop you've created.
It's
And
familiar.
you
I
tell
know.
yourself yeah, I have to get out of this, but you're just lying to yourself because you don't want to break down those walls that you build up.
Have to doing things.
Well, we don't realize those walls we build up to keep us comfortable and keep us in that slop are also those same walls that will keep out the joy and happiness in our life.
Yeah. Yes. Understanding life. That's the question has never been, can you do it? Of course you can. Of, of course you can. Probably there's somebody out there who's done it with less. So absolutely you can. That was never actually
Yeah,
the question. The question is, how can you? What are the actions?
yeah,
My understanding of life is life's entire job is to life all over your plans. Now it's
yeah,
doing it for your better best, but
yeah,
it's going to life all over. So if you're not prepared to do and do again and do it differently and do it again and then do it differently again, life's going to get
yeah,
really familiar and uncomfortable.
yeah, yeah. There's nothing worse than just that. You get in that rut of life, and you want to get out, and you know you want something, but you don't know how to get out of that rut.
Yeah.
You got to do something. You got to get out, and you got to have a plan. You got to be intentional about it.
Yes.
That's what I do. I get people out of that rut. I get them intent. I get and bring intention to their lives and get them focused and get them clear on what it is they want to accomplish in their life. Don't be vague on the dreams. Be very clear on those dreams. I mean, think about that soon to be 4 year old. I'm sure he's got all kinds of dreams.
Yes. We were currently saving the planet yesterday in the car. He was in a spaceship and he
There
was
you go.
headed
You
to
know
go
what?
repair the
And it's
mantle.
it's those dreams we have as children that the world will beat out of us. Well, yeah, that's not real. Yeah, you can't do that.
Right. That's not
All
how
my,
it's been. That's not how it's done. This is the only
yeah,
way to do it. Nonsense. All
yeah,
nonsense.
that's the only way. And look where that's gotten us as a society.
Yeah. The idea that there's a way or the
Mm,
right way or
right.
or even that it's how it's always been. That concept. I mean, literally nothing on this planet. You are not the same that you have been a week ago. You lose all your cells and your body
Mhm.
literally becomes a new body through
It
time.
does. You're
You're
right.
literally the only constant in life is that life is going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And every day is unique in and of itself. Although some days we feel like nothing. Every day is unique. There's something different about each and every day.
The
But when
weather,
you're just kind of hanging on to your past and you're like, the woe is me, oh guy, I just did that, or you're just worrying about tomorrow, you're missing the uniqueness of today. Because there's going to be there's never going to be another day like today.
yes.
It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. There's never going to be another one. So make the most of what today has to offer to you.
That is Rob, you just demonstrated a deep understanding of life because that's it. It really is that simple. I mean, again, simple not being easy because you have to do the things. But if
Yeah.
you know that it's going to be a different day and you choose to do the same shit, different day stuff, that's your choice.
Yeah.
You can choose that, but no, you're choosing it and that you can
Yeah.
make a different choice.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I love, I wouldn't say I'm an avid reader, but I read. And I'm more a reader of nonfiction. I can probably count on one hand the number of fiction books I read. And the only reason I had to read those because I took a literature class in college, so I can't remember what I had to read, but whatever. I mean, I love movies. Don't get me wrong. I love a story of
Entertainment,
movie, but
sure.
what's that?
Entertainment is good. Yeah.
Entertainment, yes, yes. But I love to read nonfiction. And one book that I pretty much read every year is Man's Search for Meaning by
Uh,
Viktor Frankl.
that's a good one.
And yeah, and every time I read it, I mean, it's a deep read. It's maybe I think the book's maybe 120 pages. You can knock it out in a weekend. But every time I read it, I pull something else from it. Something else comes to me from it. And you talk about people that were trapped in this cycle of the same thing each and every day. He was able to describe how they were able to escape that and keep their minds focused and keep their minds fresh.
That's powerful stuff. Choosing that.
Choose it. Yeah. We have the choice each and every day of how we want to enter into that day.
Yeah.
We can wake up pissed off or we can wake up grateful. The choice
And
is ours.
that's it. That is a deep understanding of life that literally, you guys, your inner 3-year-old knew this. My kid will tell you, you're an adult. You get to make the rules. If you're not enjoying the rules that you have made, make new rules. Mm-hmm. But you have to do it. That's that imperfect action. This is what Rob talks about.
And be specific about it. Just don't make some general rule like I want to lose weight. Okay, all right. Okay, be specific. I mean, do you want to lose 2 pounds? Do you want to lose 10 pounds? Do you want to lose 20 pounds? Do you want to lose this in the next week, the next month, the next 6 months? Yeah. Be specific about it. Okay, so you've outlined that. Then you got to come up with a plan. All right, I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 6 months. That's possible. That is completely possible. But you got to have a plan. Yes. What am I going to eat? What are my meals going to look like? I need to be active. Am I going to go for 3 walks a day, or am I going to pick up running? Am I going to start lifting weights? Am I going to go bike riding? Whatever it is, swimming, whatever it is, you got to come up with a plan and just stick to it. And you're not going to see results overnight, but you'll see incremental results, and that's worth celebrating. Those are worth celebrating. Yes. And I used to be, I was always guilty of this. I'd come up with a goal and I'd never create little milestones along the way to celebrate, to say, okay, I would just be so focused on the big goal that sometimes I would lose steam. But let's just say you have a 12-month goal and you got to have those aspirations. So, what's it look like after month 1? What have you accomplished? If you've accomplished that, what's your celebration? What is it going to be? I go out to dinner with my wife, or I do this, or I go buy a new pair of shoes, whatever it is.
New plant.
Follow through. New plant. There you go. Follow through with that celebration, because you got to celebrate your victories. You have to celebrate victories.
And can we talk about how hard that is? Because speaking of hustle cults, we're not taught to do that. We have not been groomed or trained to stop and enjoy. I had deep conversations with 26 therapists talking about neurodiversity and neurotypicals and all of this. And across the board, when I asked what's the hardest emotion for humans to process, every single one of them said happiness. Yeah. That seems ridiculous, right? Like, of course, everyone wants to be happy. So because as soon as you get happy, you go, okay, but when's the next shoe going to drop? Yeah. You have to retrain your brain not to look for problems, but to find the solutions. Yeah. Find the happy, choose the joy. Yeah. Stop and enjoy it.
Yeah. That's just anxiety. You're focused on what's the next thing. You're anxious about tomorrow. Yeah. And, one of the things I've realized about being anxious about tomorrow, 98% of what you're anxious about is never going to happen. Yeah. You're just making up stories of what's going to happen.
And tomorrow's coming either way. So you can stress about it today or just live it tomorrow. Yeah. And that's the like secret to life is that it's happening right now. This moment right here, this inspiration, this moment of breath, this is where life is happening. So if you are spending all of your time stressed out about what's coming tomorrow, you're not living your life. If you are spending all of your time picking apart and beating yourself and being all judgmental about what didn't work before, you're not living in life. Life is happening right here. This is where the opportunity is. Show up.
It is. You mentioned breath, and I love breath work. Several years back, I embraced the power of breath work, and it is powerful.
Powerful.
It is so powerful. And of late, I've been doing this Wim Hof breathing. Are you familiar with that?
No, what's the Wim Hof?
So you do 10 of these, okay? And then the last one, you breathe real deep. You just blow it out. Just blow it out and don't do anything for 2 minutes. Don't bring any breath in. I did it earlier today. So you do several rounds of it. I'm getting close to where I can just kind of sit there for 2 minutes without taking any breath. And then you just take a huge breath in all the way down to your stomach. Just pat your stomach, and do this. it just kind of it activates something in your brainstem is what what he says, what he's kind of leading you through it. Now your brainstem is activated. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oxygen feeds your brain. It helps release the proteins that your brain needs to function. Yeah, it's huge. Here's a fun thing that I learned last week. Actually, I was having, we all have those mornings where everything is great and yet still you're like, so I was having a morning and I wanted inspiration. So I just went in and I put inspiration into Google. And of course, the first thing that comes up is the definition of inspiration. But when I say it blew my mind, how had I not read this definition?
Okay.
Inspiration is a noun, and it is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, specifically creative. That makes sense. I knew that one.
Yeah.
But it's also the drawing in of breath, the inhalation. So that, I have an idea. That inspiration is what leads to inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So of course, breath work is going to be powerful because that inspiration is going to lead to inspiration, which will let you do the motivation.
Yeah. And this is something this is nothing new. This is something that's been around for thousands of years,
Totally in the
the breath of
dictionary.
God. Just go read your Bible. Jesus breathed on his disciples. Why was he breathing on his disciples? He was breathing the Holy Spirit into them. So it's something that goes back thousands of years.
Yes.
Thousands of years. So you had some things on your website. So I'm assuming the way you had this written, I'm assuming that there's something to this. So learn.
Yes. So there is so I have several frameworks. One of the things about the Cara method is it itself is a dynamic framework, and then additional dynamic frameworks are baked into it. This is because I'm neurospicy and my brain needs formulas to understand and adapt to the world around me. Learn is one of my favorites. So learn, speaking of a tool, use a tool, don't be a tool. So one of your greatest tools that you already have is the ability to learn. You have gotten to today, you have been learning your way through that. And learning is listening, earning abilities, reflecting, and then networking.
Okay. Networking. Daniel, you met Daniel Andrews, haven't you? You know Daniel?
Yes, love Daniel Andrews.
Yes. Yeah. So he's all about, quality networking, and he's got a whole program around that.
Yes.
And you make those quality connections. Just don't make a bunch of connections.
No, the real ones, people who you want to listen to.
Yes.
Who have an ability that you want to earn, who can help you reflect on what you have already gone through, and then put you into the next network place to listen and learn more.
Yeah. And I always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, go find another room, because you have to you do. I mean, if you want to go to that next level, you have to. And I'm going to be honest, I'm part of a group right now where I see some of these people in there, and I'm just like, dang, they're maybe 2 or 3 levels above where I'm ever going to get. But it can get in. I don't let it intimidate me. I take it, I soak it in, because I want to learn from them. I want to learn, all right, what do I need to do to get to that level?
Yes.
And what I have found, that people that, are at that elevated level, they've gotten through there through whatever they've done through a life. And the people that are very successful with it, they do it out of abundance. They want to share their wisdom with you because they want to raise up that next generation of leaders.
And what I have learned about those who are at those higher levels that are so successful, and we talked about this just a minute ago, outwardly, that is what we all see, because we don't see the hot mess that they are living in. That's what I have learned, is every single one of us, no matter your level of success, there is a hot mess behind it.
There's a hot mess. You know what? We all put our pants on one leg at a time. We all take a dump in the morning on the toilet. We all do the same thing. So
yes. And if you can learn that, then you can compare their results to yours in a judgment, but not judgmental space, right? Use your good judgment. They're at this place and I'm at this place, and these are the steps I can learn. from that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get judgmental because they're 5 years ahead of me.
Yeah.
Why am I not already great at something that they've been doing for 2 decades and I've done for a decade? Well, because I've only done it for a decade.
We haven't put the 10,000 hours in. We got to put the 10,000 hours in.
Yeah.
That's it.
This is my favorite
play.
One.
I love to play. We love to. Well, we all love to play.
But not everybody knows how to. Okay, so if I ask you, what is your favorite way to play? Do you have an answer?
I think I do.
Okay, I want to know. What's your favorite way to play?
My favorite way to play. I love to get on my bike and just go for a ride. I love the bike ride. I love the bike ride, and I'll just go. I'll just go and go and go. I'll go till my butt gets so sore, and I'm like, "Damn, I went too far. I still got another hour to get home, and my butt is sore. What am I going to do now?" So,
I love that. I love to go with buddies and look for rocks. Go for walks with buddies and rocks. Rocks, walks, buddies. Yeah. But practicing lifelong activity and youth play is not something people are trained to do. I am less surprised now. When I first started several years ago and worked with all of these CEOs, I was shook when I would say, okay, well, how can you play? How can you make this fun? And they just absolutely stumped them. They were so deeply into that hustle cult, into that corporate reality of just staying busy. The idea of making it fun, they were like, but I don't, what? That sounds great. What's that like? I was like, well, when you were 3, what did you do? How did you like to spend your time? Well, when you had nothing to do but what was fun for you, what was that? And a lot of people just never stop to ask that question. And if you don't know you, how can you do that outward? How can you make play a part of your life if you're not even sure how you like to play?
Yeah.
But you need it. You deserve it. You're allowed. You're an adult. Make playful rules.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. I love that. We're allowed. We are given permission to live our life as way we see.
Yes. The future is xenial. This is your big word for the day. Xenial means friendly. It's just a fancy word for friendly. But the future is xenial if you work with. This seems to be something that globally everyone basically gets, right? Logically, our brains are like, oh yeah, I know that. If you work with somebody, 2 people doing one task takes half the amount of time of one person. Like, cool. Yeah. Leadership math, got it.
Yeah.
Doing that. the actually working with, the putting in the work to do the communication, to do the trust building, to do the things that are required to be with, not over, not through, not on top of, which seems to be the way we do it now, but to actually work with others. That is how the future is xenial. That is how you ensure that tomorrow is easier than today.
Yeah. I like that. If you got to play, you got to work. You got to work to play.
And yes, weekly overload of responsibility and knowledge. This pairs beautifully with learn. If you want your work to be simpler, learn more. I know that seems obvious, but it really is that simple. And it goes right to that fix, right? If you really want to grow into a fix, you do it with other people. So go learn from the people around you, the people who have done it, who are those successful folks. And they're going to give you that one thing that you were missing that's going to make your work easier so that you're not so overloaded. And if you build play, if you make you and your fun top priority, and then everyone else after that, because while you're the center of your universe, you're not the center of the universe.
Yeah. Right? It reminds me of what, as you say that, the Jim Rohn quote that he says, you need to be willing to work harder on yourself than anything else.
Boom.
And you have to. And I think a lot of people are not willing to do that hard work on themselves when they realize that. I mean, you talked about how'd you say it? The garbage that's going on in our heads. Sometimes we got to deal with that. And when we're dealing with that garbage in our heads, and we deal with it in an effective way to get past that, that's our opportunity to serve others in a powerful way.
Yes.
Because we get wrapped up in this, we can get wrapped up in this shame cycle that, we know what's going on in our head, and oh man, people only knew, and it can lead to shame. But you're not alone. Just because you're thinking something and going through it, yes, you're unique, but you're not alone in that. somebody else is going through the same stuff that you're going. And to
Guaranteed.
be an effective leader, to be that effective personal leader, you got to lead your way out of it.
Yeah.
You got to find those people that can take you on that journey to lead you out of it, to get you to that other side.
Yeah. Yes. And that mental weight, that is the real work. Like, the job is simple: make commitments, keep commitments. That's how you build trust. But doing the work of trust, the daily actually doing it, making keeping them when it's hard, keeping when it's inconvenient, keeping it when you have to communicate that you can't keep it. That's that work. And that's what leads to that mental stress, that mental weight. One of the greatest tools that I have gotten in my life for that work is, imagine that you have a reader board over your head, and every thought that comes into your brain is now across that reader board, and everyone else can see it. Do you like what's on your reader board? I did not. Oh, I did not. When I first got asked that question, I was like, don't cover it. Don't look.
No. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know my secrets.
Oh, boy. And when I realized that I wouldn't want someone else to hear what I was saying to myself, bro, why am I saying it to me then?
Yeah, because you know what, we at least from my personal experience is, and I'm sure it's true for a lot of people, I can be harder on myself than anybody else. I will say things to myself that I would never say to anybody else.
And if I heard somebody else saying it, I'd be pissed off. I can't believe you said that. I mean, I say it to myself all the time, and how dare you say it to you?
Yes. I call myself a low-down skunk all the time. How dare you call me a low-down skunk?
Rude, right?
How dare you? How dare you?
And that's the work. Yep.
So when your clients are working with you, what's that look like? Well, what can they expect?
We go through the 3 pillars of the leadership. So that's going to be your visionary leaders, your authentic leadership, and your inclusive leadership. We kind of build all of those. So we work both on the individual and at a corporate level to ensure that all of those are put together. For example, let's just do authentic. That's the authenticity is hot right now. That word is like SEO magic. It is all over everything, right?
It's all over.
So what does it even mean, right? Like, when a word starts, have you ever written a word so many times you're like, is that still a word?
Exactly. You know, back in the 90s, it was always engagement. Okay, it got to the point. What's engagement mean?
What does that even mean?
What's it mean?
So I break down authenticity into your integrity. Are you living according to your values?
Yeah.
That's simple. Trust. Are you making and keeping commitments? Or are you making commitments and can we talk about feedback for 30 seconds? Like, how many times have you been in a company where they send out a survey for feedback because they're looking for engagement and they want to hear how they can get better, and then it goes up on the shelf, and 6 months, a year later, you're like, hey, that survey, did we? And they're like, what? Oh, yeah, we reviewed that.
No, we just,
You're like, and? Yeah. So that trust, make and keep those commitments, do it. And then that vulnerability we've been talking about. If you really want to authentically become the leader you are, you live according to your values, you build that trust. And then when life gets messy, rather than being like, oh, everything is so beautiful and perfect, I'm fine, like that dog drinking the cup of coffee where everything's on fire. He's like, this is fine. This is totally fine. Yeah, we're good. Instead of that, what if you were like, oh, I am a hot mess today and I am not able to show up authentically to be with you. Can we reschedule? I have never had anybody be upset at me for saying that. Ever. Not once.
Yeah. Because you want to be able to serve them. You want to be able to give them your best.
Yeah. And I accept it when they give it to me. If they're like, bro, one of my favorite employees. So this is 2 decades ago when I was managing a sales office, and one of my top marketers called, and he's like, bro, I can't come in today. I can't see. And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong? Your eyes, like, I can't see myself coming in today. You get one. All right. You are out today. You can stay home once. This is the one time you get, but that was good. That was good. I can't see myself coming in today. Okay.
Yeah. I've actually, I would just call, I remember one time in particular, I had to have a mental health day, and I just called my boss and said, ma'am, I'm not doing it. I need a mental health day because I can't do it today. Sorry. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Because we all have those. And the idea
Yeah.
that we don't, that somebody out there, man, okay, let me rephrase that. If you are someone out there who does not have days where you wake up unable to human the way you did the day before, my email is Cara Jean at Taking Care of Business. I need you to email me. I have so many questions. Just email me your calendar link because I'm just going to jump on there and we're going to talk. I have so many things I need to know about you. For the
Yeah.
rest of us,
You need to check out her website. I enjoyed your website. That's a fantastic website. Go to Taking Cara Business. Go check out her website.com. And if they want to schedule time with you, just go to this link tree, takingcareofbusiness.com link tree.
CRM.
And all your contact
CRM.
Yes, CRM. I'm sorry. And all your contact info is there. All your social media, calendar, everything will be there.
All of it. I am so accessible. Come hang out. Come join Cara Corner. That is where I do all of my complimentary work. I believe I am lucky to have corporate clients so that I can work in my community and provide that as a complimentary space for individuals so that we can figure out what you need on an individual level and connect you with amazing human beings like Rob. Do you need to get into action? Come hang out in my group. I will connect you.
Yes. Speaking of action, this Friday is the virtual Friday whiskey hour. There's always a lot of action going on there. There's always some great conversation. Stop by. You won't be sorry. That's this Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern. I open up a stream at 4:50. Some people have said, I don't drink whiskey. Well, there's no requirement to drink whiskey.
Tequila.
You can drink whatever you want. You can drink water. I don't care. Just show up and join the conversation. Next Tuesday is my Iron Sharpens Iron community. There's no whiskey at this because it's Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time. But we just have a conversation, really just trying to, empower each other to be the best version of who we want to become. And that's what life is all about. Embrace life to be that best version of who you want to become. Stop being complacent. Get out of the rut. Don't be realistic. You know what? If your dreams don't scare you, you need to make them bigger. Your dreams should scare you. I absolutely believe that.
Great.
So as we wind this down, Cara, any parting wisdom you would like to share?
Smart is important, and being in action is really important at the operations level. If you are beyond that, if you are working with others, you really want to dumb it down. And if you want help navigating both of those spaces, Rob and I are here for you.
Yes, I'm here. We're both here. I'll get you out of the rut and she will get you focused, get you engaging life.
Yeah.
So, hey, Cara, I really enjoyed this conversation. I really am honored to have you on here. I appreciate you, stopping by. We can share this conversation. I know we'll cross paths again. I know sometime you will make it to the virtual Friday whiskey hour. I know you're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I know you got a 3, soon to be 4-year-old. He can come and drink his orange juice. I don't care. But people, I love this. I love this conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as well. It's time. My next Imperfect Action live stream will be next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. I'll see you then. Peace out.